Upstairs at Froelich. God damn it! Upstairs at Froelich, show 314, reel 1.
Do the re-intro. I forgot to turn on my mic.
Oh shit!
I told you I was tired.
Oh
I
wow!
forgot to turn on my mic, but it's on now. So let me do that again, okay?
Okay.
So we recorded you like talking to nobody, sounding like a crazy pants, but without me. So here I am. All right, let's try that again, shall we? All right. Take 2. And whenever.
Action.
Upstairs. This is upstairs at Froelich. I'm one of your 2 hosts, David Lawler. I'm in New York. John Froelich is somewhere near Chicago, the Windy City.
Getting ready to get snowed on. In the fucking ass end of April, and we're getting snow.
Well, there was a Prince song called "Sometimes It Snows in April." We should probably put that at the end of the movie.
You should. You're the Prince fan. I'm not. So.
To be fair, I mean, we, my wife and I were married on April 9th of 2000, and it snowed that day. Earlier in the day.
We were married on the first day of summer.
And it snowed that day?
No, it didn't snow that day. We were just married on the first day of summer.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, suddenly now it's Fargo. Okay. Tonight we're talking about the first 3 Alien movies. I have to do this all over again. We were going to talk about Tusk, but I decided not to, and then I did a walrus impression, or Justin Long in a walrus suit going, "Urgh, urgh." I can't do it now because my lungs are shot. But
have a vape, you'll feel better.
The whole thing. Anyway, maybe we'll talk about Tusk at some point. That sounds like a perfect conversation for you and me, because it is about a podcast that inspired a movie. But
yes.
This is good old fashioned filmmaking is what we're talking about, and you can't talk about the Alien movies first without talking about the movie that inspired it all, which was, of course, John Carpenter's Dark Star, his first feature length film, written with Dan O'Bannon, who would go on to take that idea and give it to people who had money.
David Giler, Walter Hill, specifically.
Yeah, Brandywine. And
Brandywine
those guys,
Productions.
and then bringing Ridley Scott in to do the incredible movie Alien. But first, we got to talk about Dark Star. As I was trying to say in the first take that wasn't recorded, you can't compare Dark Star to science fiction movies that were made before or up to that time, because it was basically made for no money. It was a thesis project. They got graded on it, for crying out loud, and then some small little independent distributor gave them extra money. I can't believe they looked at it and said, "Hey, we want to see more of that. Here's some more money."
Well, but then, okay, 2001 had just broke around that time, so space movies were all the rage, I mean, they wouldn't really be all the rage until 1977, but, I mean, I guess around this time, hey, 2001 made some money. Hey, we can make a knockoff of this. Let's go for it. And this movie actually had some original ideas to it.
Well, yeah. I mean, the whole beach ball alien with claws is the alien. The thing is, they did some really good production design for what they had. They had very little money, and they created something that looked really cramped and confined. Dan O'Bannon's specialty, I guess, the things that carry over into Ridley Scott's vision is you've got a bunch of people on a spaceship that are really pissed off and irritated with each other, Right,
and then he just got the idea of what if this alien beast would be, just on board with this very small crew, and then that's where he got his idea for Alien.
But then, this movie. For me, the really clever bit in the movie is the suicidal bomb.
Yes! I was going to say the fucking bomb. Yes!
Contemplating its existence and whether or not it should just blow up. And Dan O'Bannon, trying to reason with the bomb.
And that was the best part. He goes, "I must think on this," and then right back up into the ship.
Yeah.
But then unfortunately he figures out that he is the master, as Jerry Seinfeld would say, he's the master of his own domain.
Right.
And I think therefore I am. Boom.
So he sort of becomes a Star Child for about 5 seconds. He rides the bomb. He rides like a surfboard and then explodes or whatever, and then we get into Winston, Arizona again, which I think we might be hearing a little bit of that right there. I'm gonna play Winston, Arizona.
Okay.
So, this is not a it's not the kind of comedy that makes you laugh out loud or something. It's more kind of like, this is really weird. It has like a sort of stoner mentality to it, if you will.
It does. Very laid back. The one thing I will say about Dan O'Bannon, thank God he's a good screenwriter and a good director, because, man, he can't act.
He acts, you know how he acts? He acts like he's a screenwriter, you know? He's also the editor of the film. And a bunch of people who worked on this movie wound up doing incredible things. Douglas Knapp would also photograph a couple of John Carpenter movies, if I'm not mistaken.
Nick Castle and Tommy Lee Wallace worked on this.
Right.
Ron Cobb, who later went on to do Star Wars, who won an Academy Award for Star Wars, worked on Dark Star.
So the guy, Jack Harris, I believe is his name, is the guy who bought into this concept and gave him a little bit more money. They finished it. They actually got this movie released, and it did make money. I believe it was Bryanston who picked it up. Same Bryanston who had Texas Chainsaw Massacre back in '74. They picked it up. You mean a porno company, or?
Well, yeah, it's that Bryanston, because it was always Bryanston who held the rights to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre back in '74. They were the ones who released it, and then I believe it was Bryanston who released Dark Star.
Right. So.
But then now VCI maintains complete control of it. So
I forgot where I first saw this. I think it was Media VHS.
That may have been accurate, because it may have came out on Media. I don't know. I saw it through my girlfriend's dad. He showed it to me. He said, "Hey, this is a John Carpenter movie you've never seen." I'm like, "I've never heard of this."
It's like it's not anything like any movie he's ever done after. What's the closest thing he has to comedy in his oeuvre but Big Trouble in Little China and Memoirs of an Invisible Man?
Yeah, and then
that's about it. But this isn't that kind of comedy. This is like some weird comedy of errors. And I think the humor mainly comes from Dan O'Bannon, because Dan O'Bannon is known for humor. Return of the Living Dead is fucking hilarious.
Then I guess what you could say is there is a little bit of satire going on. Because then you talk about how, like, that very opening scene about how there's like a 10-year delay in communications with them. And then the one guy says, "We've heard about your radiation leak. I'm sorry, we can't do anything about that."
Yeah.
You know, and then this whole ship is falling a fucking part. You know, it's been out there for 20 years.
Yeah,
it's
and they have
no
toilet paper, no more toilet paper.
No more toilet paper.
The entire supply.
This whole movie is an allegory for jumping the gun, because that's what's so funny at the end. Because, like, the one thing I really loved about the end was Doolittle had this great relationship with, the guy who, I can't remember his name, way up in there in the pit.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he figures out the problem, Doolittle's trying to tell him, it's like, don't do this. He's like, just shut the fuck up, okay? I just want to blow shit up.
Yeah.
It's just like, dude, that's a guy right there who's, like, at his mental break, who literally has been out there probably about 18 years too long.
Right, yeah.
Because you only exist to blow shit up, and you don't give a regard for anybody else around you but yourself to satisfy your needs. So that is some good, deep John Carpenter writing right there.
Yeah.
Because that's what takes as this student film and gives it some legs.
Right.
So that just shows you how good of a screenwriter he was, how good of a storyteller he was.
It's sort of in keeping with Lucas and how he worked. He also worked. He was at USC, and he also made his first student film. The movie that became a feature, which was the THX project.
THX.
Movie. And it was it's again more of that kind of science fiction, but Lucas presents kind of a very, I guess, dystopic, kind of depressing future or something like that, where this kind of feels goofy. This feels like, I don't know, like the Marx Brothers in space.
Well, then you talk about, like, this is where the alien strands are there, because, okay, John Carpenter, you can pretty much tell he was the dialogue guy on this movie, but then O'Bannon was pretty much there for, like, the set pieces and everything. So, like, there I said a lot of the stuff in Alien. So these are guys who are terraforming, okay? Something that gets brought into Aliens.
That was their original mission.
Yeah, like
before it turned into a bunch of guys just pissed off at each other in a small.
Exactly. Like their whole purpose out there was to help terraform planets, go into star systems, and destroy planets that they thought were unstable, which could cause like a solar flare or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's some deep science fiction from fucking Dan O'Bannon right there. And again, that's stuff he would use in Alien and friggin' Aliens for all that.
For Alien though, it's a variation. It's just kind of like a one-line concept that has turned into something much bigger. So Alien, it starts off very simply. It's a very simple story that you can add on to, and it's a great way. From what I understand though, O'Bannon had some problems. He had some problems with the producers when he was.
Would it be Lawrence Gordon, David Giler, Walter Hill, or would he be talking about Fox now?
I'm not really sure. I just know he did have some issues with somebody at some point, and he kind of like walked away from the project. Like he was there to do on-set rewrites, but then he walked off.
So Ronald Shusett basically wrote the bulk of Alien, is what you're saying?
Well, I mean, I think Ronald Shusett probably. I don't know. Were they collaborators, partners, or was it just a?
I don't even know if I only think they ever worked together the one time. But then you look at Total Recall, and then Dan O'Bannon did that one. And there's a lot of fucking Total Recall DNA that sits inside of Dark Star. A lot of Total Recall DNA.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to remember if Ronald Shusett did friggin' Total Recall with Dan O'Bannon. I can't remember.
Well, Shusett did have also had his own credentials in science fiction. Remember, he did Alien Nation. He also did he did that one that Philip K. Dick wrote the story, but it was Screamers, I think it was called.
Yeah, Screamers.
So it's possible they knew each other and worked together, or maybe they didn't. But if I know Ridley Scott, he tends to torment his writers. So his writers will quit, Maybe they'll just get tired of him because he is one of these directors who's like, well, let's get bigger. Let's make it bigger. He takes like a very simple idea and goes crazy with it. And that's part of his genius, I guess.
Sunshine down, but I see only one. When I think I'm over you, I find I've just begun. The years move faster than the days. There's more in the light. And how I miss those desert skies.